I'm John Wertz, Montgomery County Tea Party. We're here with Mike Seiler. He's running for re-election for judge of Court 35th Judicial Court. And with me is Del Fessenden, Bob Bagley, and Ken Vaughn. So we'll start off. Judge, if you want to open up with up to 5 minutes, and then we'll do the Q&As after that.
Well, thank you. Again, my name is Mike Seiler, and I'm proud to be your judge of the 403rd District Court. Of course, I have to take notes because as a judge, I have a pen and paper up at the bench all the time, so I don't do anything really off the cuff anymore. I was elected 8 years ago, in no small part to some of the efforts of the people in this room. And I want to thank you guys for those of you that helped me do that. Since taking the bench in 2007, I've tried approximately 300 jury trials, including civil, predator, and criminal trials. I have been affirmed in about 98% of those trials by the Courts of Appeals, the Court of Criminal Appeals, the Texas Supreme Court, and the United States Supreme Court. From day one, I have heard all types of cases. I've covered for judges that have been sick and took over their dockets for literally months at a time, hit the ground running. You know that I'm a solid conservative. I have supported local Republican organizations and conservative organizations throughout the county for many years. I have a 8-year track record of rulings that you can look at with myself. You know what you are getting with people that are seeking benches. There's no track record, so they can tell you what they want to tell you, but with me, you know what you're getting because you can see what I've done. The 435th is the most efficient court in Montgomery County and is a transparent court, which means that I do everything on the bench, in front of the public, nothing done back in chambers. And I think that's very important because the transparency gives the court legitimacy and my rulings legitimacy. Nothing's done in the back. Anyone is going to be able to come up here and tell you what they want to tell you, make a bunch of promises, but I, again, have a proven track record and have delivered on my promise 8 years ago, which is to try cases. 300 jury trials for a judge is a career's worth of trials. I've done that in 8 years. Last year I tried 43 jury trials. The year before I think I tried 47 jury trials in the 4th District Court. If you look at the Texas judiciary statistics, I believe that I tried 5% of all the civil cases for the state of Texas in one district court over the last biennium. I'm not talking about this year, but 2 years prior to that. And if you look back at all the courts, you know, it's 2 trials, 4 trials, 7 trials, 8 trials, 9 trials, you know, 4th District Court of the biennium, 90 trials. You know, I'm very proud to have the job as a judge. I see it to be an honor to hold this position. It's one of our 3, you know, branches of government. As I tell jurors that walk into my courtroom for jury duty on Monday, that I know they're excited about being here, and they kind of chuckle because they don't really want to be here. But I tell them that, you know, they're lucky to be here because I have a special needs daughter who can't serve on a jury, and she would love to serve on juries, but she won't be able to be on juries. And then I tell them a little bit about her, and then I tell them that, you know, we need to take this very seriously because, you know, people are kind of laughing and joking and smiling and having a good time here, but the people died so that we can be here doing this process, because had World War II ended differently, we wouldn't have this jury service, and that generally gets people's attention. I find that part of the role of a judge is to, you know, explain to them the significance of the process that we're going through. In a lot of countries, you don't have to worry about jury duty, and we're lucky that we have that process in America. And I'm proud to say that over this last 7.5 years, it'll be 8 in June, that I've never lost a jury because people couldn't keep an open mind. And I picked, you know, juries involving sexual predators where the jury's allowed to know that he's a diagnosed pedophile. Supreme Court allows that. And I'm able to get people to keep an open mind. And really, I think the job of the judge is to make sure we get a jury trial picked, so the process can go on if everything can be fair. So I'm very proud of my record of being able to do that. And just a little bit of a personal matter about me. I was a prosecutor for 14 years at the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. I started as essentially a person who didn't know much about cases and worked my way up to District Court Chief. Is that telling me my time's up?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I saw hard.
So anyway, I'm married to my wife of 20 plus years, Mike Seiler. She's an attorney here, practices in Woodlands. I have 2 children. Ethan Seiler, who's at Boy Scouts tonight, is a Life Scout. He's 3 merit badges away from his Eagle, which is pretty much tells him he's got completed. And again, I'm the father of a daughter with something called Red syndrome. She's 11, and I do feel truly blessed to live in this area of the country because the only red clinic is at Texas Children's Hospital. So I came from Kansas originally, and if you had been in Kansas and had a red daughter, you would like to live down here. And since we live down here, I feel very fortunate in that matter. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. That was 5 minutes, huh?
Yep.
You know, in court, they don't put the timer on.
Though you're pretty much in charge.
I'm not used to timers anymore, I'm sorry.
Quick question, I've got 2, but the quick one is the affirmative rate on appeal is about 90. Where can you find that? I'm glad that somebody captures that number. I knew that they probably did.
You can print it off on Lexis or Westlaw, 435th District Court reversed. What I have here is a copy of all the cases that have been appealed by the 435th District Court, and it starts with the highest court that I've been appealed to, and then it goes to the lowest one. And I believe, let's see, there are 300. At this point, this is about 6 months old. 310 cases were appealed. And so the courts had 10 reversals. I've had 5 of those. 5 were by visiting judges. But they're my cases, and 2 of my reversals were because I had to sort of follow the visiting judge, and I knew that when he did what he did, it probably wasn't a good thing. 98% is a pretty good record. If you guys want to have this, you can. Again, it's all the cases that have been appealed out of my court. So
Okay.
that number it's a good number.
Okay.
And not perfect, but that's a good number.
Did we run out of time already, or did you not start?
I didn't start.
Okay. All right. So my first question is, I guess, that was a clarification question. The first question is going to number 21, and it is dealing with anything in your background, embarrassing nature. Can you tell us, and I've already talked with the guys here to give you more than 2 minutes, tell us in 4 minutes or less if you can, and if we need to go longer, that's fine, about the reprimands. What brought it on, and what resolution has come from that?
The reprimands were on sexually violent predator cases, not criminal cases. There was a desire by some political people to get the statute moved out of Montgomery County. And so one of the things they felt they needed to do was attack the judge. So the recusals were part of that action. The defense filed recusals and things I said at a speech. The state, due to their probably funding and people being over them, didn't say anything. So they remained mute at the time. So the only thing the judges heard was the defense's allegations and nothing from the state. I believe 8 or 12 of them are granted, but not all of them were. And if a recusal is granted, it can't be appealed. So it's just.
Can you explain what a recusal is?
So when you're removed from the case, you can't hear it. They assign it to a visiting judge. there's no cost in Montgomery County in terms of money. I know my opponent said it's cost the county over $200,000, and it costs Montgomery County money. Some of the judges denied them, okay? The sitting district court judge can't be there to voice, to give an argument why she shouldn't be recused. It's just the lawyers. And the visiting judge, Judge Underwood, assigns to hear it. When some of the judges made a record on my behalf, the losing party, the defense attorneys in the predicate cases appealed that. And the Court of Appeals just recently ruled, in not so many words, I should not have been recused. So, even though it's 9 months late, they kind of went through a whole bunch of recusals. The Court of Appeals rules 9 months later that I should not have been recused, and Judge Underwood enters an order that says Court of Appeals decided Judge Seiler shouldn't be recused, so Judge Seiler's not recused. And they can file them as they can, you can do any case, but he just denies it in total because the Court of Appeals already ruled. In the meantime, somebody files a judicial complaint against me based upon the recusals and stuff in the recusals. And since they had been granted, the Court of Appeals had ruled that I was ordered to take 4 hours of judicial training with another judge. You know, the ethics committee didn't have to say that. They could have said I shouldn't be a judge anymore. But they said I just need 4 more hours of ethics training. So that's basically what it was. And the statute's changed, so I don't have to hear the new Section 5 prayer cases anymore. I did not want to hear the new Section 5 prayer cases anymore because I'd heard 258 Section 5 prayer cases. And that's hard on a person to hear that many people that are multiple convicted sex offenders are coming in front of you. And the judge's court will still be over those guys, individuals, the ones that were committed in front of me though. So I'm still over about 350 of them. And the only thing that I'm really over is when they want to be released into the community. They still have to petition the court for that. It's a protection the legislature gave to the citizens of the state of Texas. So the judge's court will still be over those, whether or not people want to be released.
So, are you current then? Have you gone through whatever?
The judge came to see me.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of nice. I was going to see him, he came to see me. I mean, he looked at my track record, he could tell that I wasn't a rogue judge. I mean, he saw that, you know, I've been affirmed a whole bunch of times. This was, I mean, it was a concerted effort to attack the judiciary, in my opinion, but I mean, that's what it was. I mean, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for something that took, I mean, I had to walk through fire here. And I can't be in the court defending myself. Some judges didn't feel that they would survive an appeal without something in the record. Some judges did put things in the record, and when those things went up to the Court of Appeals, like I said, the Court of Appeals found that there was no, have the support having me recused. Of course, we went through the ethics people. All the issues raised in the motions accused were also raised on appellate issues, and I was never reversed for any of those on appellate issues. So, you know, my opinion is I listened to the judges, well, you know, justices that wear the black robes, not the people on the ethics committee, although I do, you know, have to follow what they say. So,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Partially, and maybe I'll come back to the other part.
Is the appeals ruling public record yet?
Yes.
And you could provide us is it part of your package?
No, I didn't bring it, but
Okay.
it's not even in this because by the time this was done, I did this for the ethics committee to show that I wasn't a rogue judge. But
Right.
the ethics committee's 12 people in Austin.
Not a friendly environment.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it'd be helpful if you could provide us that public record, a link to that public record. That would be helpful. Okay. To go on with the question here. In answer to question number 1 regarding judicial philosophy, you said, I believe in judicial restraint. That probably could be read any number of ways depending upon the mind of the reader. So could you elaborate a little bit more by what you mean about judicial restraint?
Well, I mean, I tried 100 felony jury trials as a prosecutor, asking the questions. You know, the judge's job is to rule on the evidence. And so, as I sit there listening to these questions, a lot of times, questions come through my mind that are probably better. Yeah, but as a judge, everything's moving much slower for me than this really is. I'm not concerned about somebody, saying, objection sustained or ruled or something like that. But the job of the judge is not to interject himself. So, I'm ruling the evidence. That's the other thing, well, anyway, that's really the point.
Okay, good enough.
A lot of the other judges are in a court where there's already been, it's established, there's case law, there's other things that they can rely on. When you took over this court, was that the case for you?
No, I was, and one of the reasons that they wanted to put it in one court for a while was so they could get a good set of appellate opinions to help guide these other judges around the state of Texas. Every issue for predator court that could possibly come up has come up in front of me. And so all the judges will be trying these cases, there's case law settled on every point that's made, either by the state or the defense. And, to only have personally 5 cases reversed when there's not case law for me to look at. I'm interpreting a statute at first blush. So I think that number is really good. It shows that ability to read a statute and can, guess what the Court of Appeals is going to rule on things. So that's a unique situation that most judges don't have that. They don't have to do that. I got to do it. I enjoyed that. So there's a lot of case law out there. I've been invited by the Texas Judiciary to speak, explain how to try Section 9 predator cases next October, and to write a law review article. So I'm kind of looking forward to becoming an author and explain how we do these cases, and then give the cases that I've cited that I decided in there. It goes from everything from void to hire to closing arguments and everything in between. These type of cases, how to try them. It's an interesting procedural difference between civil cases and criminal cases. Really hybrid of both of them. So, anyway, sorry. So no, there wasn't much case law for me to follow.
All right. Your response to question 14 was related to the extent to believe when state and federal government should be able to obtain court orders directing parents to do things for their children. And your answer was when the child's life is in danger. That's potentially a very broad answer. Every life is always in danger. It might be hit by an asteroid and die, right?
Maybe I should put the word imminent danger.
Sorry?
Maybe I should put the word imminent danger.
Right. So at what point does that conflict? Does it raise the point of vaccines?
No. As a sitting judge, when I'm on call, you may be a criminal judge, you may be a family judge. Everything's going to show up in your court when you're on call, and especially Friday at 3 o'clock, CPS is going to show one child in the mood, and the judge needs to make that decision. What's going to happen? Some things guide me on that. Or where's the child at today? How much is he in danger? And if I don't do anything, and we have a hearing with everyone present, is the child's life in danger? I do this when I've done this, and so you have to weigh all those things to go into it. And there have been situations where, mom and dad are methamphetamine users, just arrested. Police have control of the child. This is an hour and a half afterwards. And judge, there's no place for this child to go. We can take him to CPS and say, that child's life's in imminent danger. I'm talking young children, and there's been cases where I haven't done it, where maybe it's really mom or dad not wanting the other to have the child for whatever reason.
Right.
So
you
have to do the weigh every time.
I think the more disturbing cases that were related to, pick a child is sick, they go to the hospital, you end up essentially with 2 teams, CPS and their set of doctors, saying this course of action should be taken, and the parents, perhaps with their set of doctor, saying, no, it should be this course of action.
In that situation, everybody can show up in the court, we can talk about it. I don't have to make any ex parte immediate rulings.
Okay?
I mean, the tough ones where I have to do it, and the only thing I have is child protective services from it. And being the parent of a special needs child, I mean, I know about these issues because, you know, sometimes they get cancer at just the same rates as other children. The question is, do you treat the cancer? Does the child know what chemotherapy is? Do they understand the pain that we put in? It's a hard question.
Right.
Those are bioethics questions in the law. And that can age a judge real quickly. They have to do that on a daily basis.
Yeah, no kidding. Shifting gears a little bit, what's your thought about this concealed carry, open carry, and constitutional carry?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of carrying, so I have no problem with it as long as you get the permit. Great. I think that the number of people, the permits that commit crimes is exceptionally low. So
What about constitutional carry?
I know Brandon Creighton's a big fan of that. I don't really know much about it, to tell you the truth. It's not something that comes from me.
That, well, I may have to defer to you guys. That's without.
Constitutional carry is basically the U.S. Constitution, what states if you,
And the right to bear arms.
yeah, the right to bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed, which means you're not gonna have to, you're not required to pay a tax, you're not required to have, which is what we're doing with the license. We're not required to have training.
As long as we control some people that can't have the guns.
Exactly, but if you go to purchase a gun from a dealer, you have to have a background check.
I'm a big fan
Right.
of being in rooms where I know people have guns. Because where people have guns and people don't have guns, makes less likely people show up with
Right.
guns and want to use them violently.
Right, right.
I mean, it's, you know how many shots they got off in California against those guys? Zero.
I know.
Zero. I mean,
Well, that's,
big
That's
fan
California for you.
of,
yeah.
on the record, people protecting themselves. Police are not gonna show up, it's up to you.
Right.
And constitutional carry seems fine to me, with some caveats just to limit some of the people that have guns. So what else you got for me?
Okay.
I've heard Brandon Creighton talk about it, but I've never really thought much about it.
With the recent changes in how the 435th is structured, and I'm not sure what the proper terminology is, I think you made an earlier comment about you're glad to see some of those changes. You're
Oh,
ready
absolutely.
to move
Absolutely.
on, so to speak, into different types of cases. So one of the areas on question 9 about budget for the office, and you stated some things that wasn't clear to me, is that before these changes, after these changes?
No,
Does it apply in both?
the budget's the same. You know, I have one coordinator and I have a court reporter myself. A lot of courts have multiple people working there, plus a court reporter and a judge. We have the same thing, when it was predators and when it was what I do now. When it was predators, I still probably 90% of the time handled criminal cases at the same time, because I knew that the predator stuff was costing the county some money that wasn't being reimbursed by the state. So I wanted to make sure that the county was happy with me as a judge. So I did all the criminal cases with the county, a load of them for a long time. At the end, I was, you know, the courts wanted to be specialized in having tried 43 jury trials. And we get quite a few requests to be released now from civil commitment. That was taking a lot of my time as well. So the courts now set up 80-20. According to the legislature, they think about 20% of them should be still predator stuff. So we run the most economical court in the county. Now, during jury selection in voir dire, you can call my court. You're not going to have anybody because my court coordinator's there working, seeing juries and stuff. But she, you know, they have answering machines, and she can call it. A lot of her phone calls she gets really are about jury excuses, so for coming out of jury duty.
So the changes you personally like, do you think from a larger perspective, it's a help, or what are the pros and cons from the county perspective to Montgomery County?
Well, being able to just be a Montgomery County judge and hear the criminal cases is going to help get people to do the jail process faster. We have court every day. if you want a jury trial, I've tried a lot of cases. Some people are a little skittish about jury trials for some reason. I find it to be what judges are supposed to do. So, we'll give you a trial. That should help decrease the number of days that a person's going to spend in jail. It's going to save the county money. Court-appointed attorney fees tend to go up the longer a person has that court-appointed attorney. So we're trying to get everything through. Also help some of the other courts out. Even today, one of the courts has asked me to hear their contested family law cases on Thursday. They don't hear much anymore, so I'm happy to go do that too. Just sort of help out the county. I heard a divorce case today. I like family law, I like hearing the civil cases, I like criminals right down my alley, that's what I know a lot of, but I enjoyed learning the law in all those other cases.
Variety is spice of life.
Right, keeps it interesting.
Okay, Bob.
There's a problem in the courthouse, and you brought it up earlier about CPS coming in at 3 o'clock on Friday to try to get warrants signed, things like that. There's judges that are never there on Fridays. And I'm not sure if there's staffs there on Fridays either, but we're paying for that. As an elected official, you don't have to really, judge more than anybody else has to work. Most of elected officials don't have to show up at all. But
Judges don't have to either.
I know. I know. So, about how many hours a week do you think it's proper for a judge or any elected official to be working?
Well, I think we're paid a fair salary for 40 hours a week. I think we need to be there for 40 hours. Sometimes you need to take a child to the hospital or you have some personal issue you need to take up. But the other time, I volunteer to sign blood warrants at night. I took on December 31st this year. So I'll probably be up till 4 o'clock in the morning, signing those warrants. So, I think it's important. I find it to be an honor to be a judge. Police officers always say, thank you for signing this. I'm like, I think it's a great honor that you have to come see me, and I'm willing to come do it. I'm going to try to treat it fair, and I still. They can come to my house, and my neighbors now realize I'm a judge, so when the police show up at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's not
because your wife's beating you.
Yeah, we're done now.
There has been, in the beginning, there may have been some questions from the
I think it's drugs.
it's that guy again. So, I think that, judges need to be on call when they're on call. I think they need to have, it's easy. It's a cell phone. The police will come see me. I'm like, where do you mean? We'll come see you, Judge. So, it's great. I have no problem doing it. I like to do it. And with me, you can look at my past 8 years. I've worked. And, like I said, the people running against me, you don't know what they're going to do because there is no past with those people in terms of them being a judge. But with me, you're getting a worker. I was raised in Kansas in a small farm town. My dad said if you want to run for public office there, you had to go to the donut store at 6 o'clock in the morning because the farmer was done doing his chores and taking his break at 6 a.m. in the morning.
So we're about 30 minutes into it, and that leaves us with about 15 more minutes Q&A.
All right, you've mentioned a lot about your appeals rate and such. Is that really best measure given some of the recent Supreme Court rulings? If the Supreme Court is starting to...
America?
Yes. If they start ignoring the Constitution and you're not being overturned based on their bad rulings, and you're just following their precedent.
We're not dealing with constitutional issues in these cases. There are lots of constitutional issues raised in my court, way, way more than were any other courts. So, and my issues have been up to the United States Supreme Court. My issues are a lot motivated by, the Constitution, but it's my issues have all been there. So, but the parts that I'm proud about are not issues of constitutional nature. Like I said, I've made lots of those rulings that judges don't have to make because it is, remember, words of first impression are matters of law, right, and procedure. So 90% is not exceptionally high for a judge, but it's not low. you try enough cases, judging it, you're something we're not perfect. But I've tried a lot of cases, and my firm's rate is pretty solid. I mean, the lawyers know this and have a lot of confidence in me because they know that I'm not afraid to get appealed, and this is part of the nature of the job, and I invite them to. And as an experienced jurist who's been appealed a lot, I know to make orders that the Court of Appeals can consider. So a lot of times I talk to them on the record. And this is the 7 reasons I take notes and set it out. And that's one of the reasons the Court of Appeals, I think, applies my fair because they understand what I'm thinking and why I did it. So, that's experienced jurist 101 right there. You don't do that under day one.
There are, from what we understand, I guess 700 to 800 people in jail right now for pretrial.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give or take. And I also understand that I think all of the courts process about 80% of the cases that are available through each year, which means the stack rate is such that it's going to double. If you're only getting 20% in a year, that's 5 years you're doubling. That's a lot of people being incarcerated waiting for trial. Is there anything, we have a concern, I think, of another court that could possibly be going to family court instead of processing criminal cases, and which may even constrict the flow of cases through even more. I'm sure you're aware of that. Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't know how
to be done.
I don't know how that courts run their dockets for the most part. 21 or 2 years in the courthouse doing crime as a prosecutor, as a judge. Thirds and state jail felonies. So once a case is indicted, then the judge has control of it. Once it's still under information status, I can't set it for trial. Okay, so once a case gets indicted, and the district attorney's office resolves a lot of cases during the information stage of the trial. And that guy may or may not be in jail. Okay, I make determinations whether somebody should be in jail or not, based upon, the crime, their history, the threat, that information. Once it's indicted, I set the third state jail for trial within 90, they'll be set for trial in 90 days. I think that the court should set for 90 days. The case doesn't get any better with time, and there's no need, they're not complicated. Other than on the drug cases, getting the information back from the DPS people for the results of the drug test. And with the DPS people, as a prosecutor, spend a lot of time down there, so they know me, so they know I tried cases, so they know that Judge Seiler also tries cases. So, the prosecutor calls out and says, Judge Seiler sets the case for 90 days, and he gets results, sooner than later. My second and first degree felonies get trial stays within 180 days. When a guy comes in front of me for a arraignment, I said, look, you're going to trial in 90 days or 180 days. It's a pretty firm date here. Now, if the lawyers need to move it around a week because of something, we do that. Sometimes we move it up, sometimes we move it back. But I think the key to getting cases moved is telling that individual that he's going to trial. Telling our lawyers going to trial. When they come in for their motion, pleas, and announcements, have you got this case worked out? As I asked, no, we haven't got it. Your trial sentence this day. You need to be prepared to go. I think that I can handle more cases because they know I'm willing to try cases. It's the job of the judge. I like to try cases. That's the whole thing I'm doing over there, is trying to give people some justice, whether it's convictions or acquittals. But you got to go through the process to do it. So I don't know about eliminating a court. I can take on more work. I've told our office administrator.
Is that the judge? Oh, okay.
So we've got a guy who's sort of all the course said, send me more cases, send me 100 more cases.
Okay, question 16, we asked about county hiring and the good old boy system, and you basically answered for the 435th and said, we don't do that, and not here.
Well, I got
Which
two
is-
people, and I got a court reporter that needs to type
I'm
300
fine.
words a minute.
But the question is
It's hard to go
more
get a boy that
general.
one.
It said problem in this county.
Oh,
Now, you've been judge 7+ years, you've been prosecutor,
yeah.
DA's office 14 years. I'm obviously not gonna ask you to name names, but are you gonna try to convince me you have not seen
Not at
that
all.
ever happen in 21 years in the county?
No. I'm not gonna convince you I haven't seen it happen. I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm over me and my staff and my guys that have charged crimes in front of me, my prosecutors, so that's what I'm over.
And then the second part of that question is what it realistically can be done about it. Do you have any suggestions for whether county commissioners should do something or other judges should do something, or what realistically can be done about it?
It's above my pay grade. That's above my
Okay.
pay grade. That's an administrative thing. I don't know. So, sorry.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Good. All right. Just curious, you had, in response to question 4, which was why you believe you're the most significant issues in the race wide. So you describe yourself, the candidates in this race are very, very different. We have different backgrounds, different personalities, different values. Fair enough. I am a serious judge, committed to my faith, my family, my country, and community. I believe that the 435th District continues to need to have a judge that knows how to keep our community safe, etc. I don't have any reason to question that about you, but the fact that sentence follows, that first statement,
Which one sentence? I am a serious judge.
yes, I'm a serious judge, and then the follow-on,
Committed to my faith.
the judge needs to keep us safe and everything. Right. So those two sentences that describe all of your attributes is immediately after a statement that says the candidates are very, very different. Are you suggesting that the other candidates have some failings in any of these areas?
You know, I'm not gonna demean a person here. I'm gonna talk about myself. They're criminal defense lawyers. We need criminal defense lawyers. We're lucky to have criminal defense lawyers, because if we didn't have criminal defense lawyers, the whole system would break down. But I come from a prosecutor background. It came definitely, right to the state court judge. I have been in the business of protecting the community. That's what I've been in business to do. So,
Okay.
I mean, you can research them and you can determine what the difference is between my differences and their differences. I'm trying to use good English because my mother's a she's passed away now, but if she sees this in heaven, maybe get a lecture.
Do they get YouTube in heaven?
Boys get back at you. Okay, well, I'm out. I think everybody else is out of questions, so we'll turn it back over to you if you'd like up to 5 minutes to close, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Well, the only other thing I wanted to add about judicial grievance was one of the cases that occurred was 6 weeks after I was a judge. And I'm not gonna be perfect. I mean, it wasn't my best moment. I probably should have handled it differently. However, I don't want to hold people in contempt in my courtroom, because that's a power the judges have that should be exercised very carefully. And I didn't, and probably should have, according to the Ethics Commission, went down that road, but we didn't. And I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes in life. I'll probably make more mistakes, but I've learned a lot over 350 cases that I've been appealed on. So I would ask that you take into consideration, maybe a new judge, now a much more experienced judge, and any judge that you put into any judgeship is going to have problems. Hopefully more in the beginning and less in the end, but that was very much in the beginning. With me, you're getting a hard worker. Try cases. You're getting a transparent court. Do stuff on the record, out in the open. Let everybody know how I'm feeling about things. I'm a wise judge in the fact that I'll talk to the Court of Appeals, but it's also talking to the community. You know, this is why I'm doing these things. This is why I'm sending you to prison. This is why I'm putting you on probation. This is what I expect out of you. I think the job of a judge is to help the community and help the people in front of me, and also help the county. Now, as much as I can deal with nepotism policies and that kind of stuff, I get out of my pay grade. But putting a good exposure for the county, because businesses will come here and locate, knowing that their case is going to be in Montgomery County if they end up getting sued. It's important for me to be part of the county in that regard. So I appreciate having this job. I value this job, and I'm asking for your support for this job.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.